Water samples taken from the Vaal River in Parys have tested positive for cholera. The Envirocare Laboratory confirmed these results. Civic groups AfriForum and Save Ngwathe approached the lab. The first cholera death has now been recorded in the Free State. This now brings the total number of deaths from the waterborne disease to 22, with Gauteng accounting for 21 deaths. In a statement released by AfriForum, water samples were taken at different locations in Parys. For more on this, let's bring in Morne Swart, Laboratory Manager for Envirocare Lab. Morne, thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. Amid what seems to be an ever-widening circle of cholera outbreaks, can you tell us first off, you were contracted privately by AfriForum to run these tests. What exactly was the scope of that work?
Good evening, eNCA team. Just a quick summary of how this works. In the past, we have worked with AfriForum when there's been suspicion on certain contamination in the drinking water systems. Alta from AfriForum Parys contacted me 2 days ago with regards to the cholera outbreak. And we, as Envirocare, was appointed to do the sampling on site or at the locations, and then also conduct the tests.
Can you tell us where these tests were carried out? Because as we understand it, they were conducted at 3 separate locations. Just give us a rundown of how these locations differ.
Correct, yeah. So the first test is at the main water treatment plant. The second test was done at a residential area on the outside tap. And then the third test was done on the Vaal water itself.
So this test done on the Vaal water itself, the location of where that test was conducted is also quite pertinent, isn't it? Because as we understand, that's just downstream of a sewage spill that's been contaminating water for a while. Give us the rundown of these test results in all 3 of these locations.
Okay, just a quick summary. Let's start with the first test at the water treatment plant itself. There are 5 parameters that we conducted during this survey. The first is your total plate count. This indicates your total number of bacteria in your water. Your second parameter is your total coliforms. This is an indicator organism for bad bacteria. A quick summary of that. The third and the fourth tests are the E. coli and the fecal coliforms. That indicates for traces of sewage contamination. And then the 5th test was the Vibrio cholera. So on our first site at the water treatment, it was the total plate count was 19. That is 100% acceptable, where your limit is 1,000. Your coliforms, E. coli, fecal, and Vibrio cholera was absent. The second sample, taken at the residential area, was at total plate count with a 57 count. Again, we are 100% in spec, as the limit is 1,000. Our total coliforms with a limit of 10 was over the limit there with 22. So it's indicating that there is bad bacteria within that water. But luckily, the E. coli, fecal, and Vibrio was absent. The last one, the water from the Vaal River itself, we have a greater than 30,000 on the total bacteria count, a greater than 80 count on the coliforms, greater than 80 on the E. coli, greater than 80 on the fecal, and then Vibrio cholera positive.
So presumably, if these tests were conducted downstream from a sewage spill, that's to be expected. But talk to us specifically about the presence of cholera in this water. Does that mean the entire Vaal Dam is contaminated with cholera? How do lay people interpret these results?
Okay, so let's go micro 101. What does cholera tell us? Cholera is the source of cholera is the digestive system of a human being. When does this become a problem? Because the main source of spread, the main source of further contamination for cholera is a water system, a body of water. So now we see the ripple effect. We get fecal matter from leakage of the sewer systems. This ends up in a big body of water, and this is the main source. Micro 101 says the main source of spreading this cholera is a body of water, and now we have detected that. So this is telling us theoretically, if it was or it has been detected now in the water, it is a matter of days, and the spread will be drastic.
Thank you so much for those results. Not great news, but we are going to be continuing this discussion in a moment. That was Morne Swart, Laboratory Manager for Envirocare Lab.